As far as we know, life appeared on our planet around 4 billion years ago. We don't know for certain if it originated here on Earth or somewhere else, like Mars, or perhaps another world much further away. The theory that asteroids, meteoroids, or comets transported life here has been proposed and studied for millennia. This concept of the interplanetary transport of life is known as panspermia. The idea of panspermia began in ancient Greece around 500 BC with the philosopher Anaxagoras. In his journals, he introduces the thought that matter is composed of seeds of all things. He was the first to mention the term panspermia, meaning seeds everywhere. Other scientists have since helped set the foundation or postulated panspermia themselves. Charles Darwin, whose evolutionary theory implied a common ancestor for all life, creating the scaffolding for developing the panspermia hypothesis. Louis Pasteur, who disproved Aristotle's notion of spontaneous generation, and that life does not arise from non-living matter, but rather life comes from life. Lord Kelvin and von Helmholtz, who independently postulated that meteor impacts spread seeds, or life, in 1871. Today, and for the past couple of centuries, the study of panspermia is less about whether or not it's feasible, and more about how specific mechanisms enable the movement of life from one location to another through space. For instance, solar radiation was proposed as the interplanetary transport of microbes in the early 20th century, also known as radiopanspermia, although the mechanism studied most today is lithopanspermia, the version of the panspermia hypothesis that argues impact-expelled rocks from a planet's surface serve as transfer vehicles for life. The next question is, could life survive within one of these rocks as it journeys to another planet? The chances of survival are undoubtedly low, but not impossible. There are 3 crucial steps that life must survive for a successful interplanetary transfer. 1. Ejection from the donor planet's surface. 2. Transit through space. 3. Entry and deposit onto the recipient planet. Each of these steps can be tested and have been to some degree. The most common microbe used in these experiments is the bacterium Bacillus subtilis, found naturally in various places, including the Earth's soil and our digestive tracts. Bacillus is an exceptionally hardy microbe, and it needs to be to survive the extreme environments of space. In the first step, the ejection from the donor planet, Bacillus would need to tolerate high levels of acceleration, jerk, shock, and heat. Ballistics experiments were used to test these forces on the spores and found the ejection's acceleration and jerk did not hinder the bacillus' survival. However, the impact's initial shock and heating had much lower survival rates, around 0.1%. The bacillus spores that did survive now need to make the journey through space, meaning they need to travel within a rock moving through a vacuum with extreme temperatures and radiation exposure, not to mention the trip could take millions of years. In experiments conducted on the International Space Station, bacillus spores were exposed to space for 1.5 years. The results showed a high chance of survival if protected against cosmic rays. And thanks to discoveries of living microbes dormant deep in the Earth for more than 100 million years, we know that time won't be as great a factor in their survival. Suppose conditions were favorable for bacillus within the rock on its way to the recipient planet. In that case, there is a slight chance that life could last the journey, but it still needs to make it through the new planet's atmosphere and land somewhere. In this step of lithopanspermia, the spores will have to live through atmospheric heating as well as the final impact onto the planet's surface. An experiment using sounding rockets put these conditions to the test. At a maximum entry velocity of 1.2 kilometers per second, or nearly 3 times the speed of sound, bacillus spores survived at a rate of 1.2 to 4.4%. Although life can withstand the dangerous trip through space and possibly colonize worlds, it is improbable. It may be some time before we know whether life on Earth originated from Mars. Still, the data and knowledge learned so far are invaluable and may help us prevent Mars or another planet's microbe contamination in the future. I'm Heather, and this was Panspermia. Thank you for watching.